YouTube world, welcome. Greg here with MyoBrain. Excited to be hitting this vlog up. I have not done a training vlog like this in a very long time. It's a nice, simple voiceover here, minimal edits. I've also seen these kind of come back on YouTube a bit. Not the cool, fancy jump cuts and drones, which makes me happy. But in all seriousness, I do think there's a lot of value one can deem from watching fairly advanced trainees train. Just watch the daily process, how they warm up, little nuances, little technical things that you really can only see in longer form. Nothing wrong with a 60-second tutorial on sumo deadlifts or elbow position on a push-up, but a lot of the nuances really can be had. So I'm excited to share a full session here. We'll see how many of these I do. Obviously, it's quite easy to do these in the home gym, but yeah, keep it raw, minimal edits, and we'll be talking about some hopefully valuable things here. So first thing here, tempo bench press, 4-second eccentric, 2-second pause, exploding up. Really like these for, at least personally, good mind muscle connection on the pecs. Doing them relatively heavy, low rep range because the time under tension is so high. And one of the big benefits of a home gym is doing supersets. So I'm doing a push-pull superset here, neutral grip pull-ups. The -1 on the AMRAP just means I'm trying to stay 1 rep away from failure. That typically means for me 11 to 14-ish right now, depending upon how heavy I am. I'm a little bit lazy with not moving the bench out, so I have my awkward knee position, but it doesn't really affect me too much here with the bench in my way. But I really like to save some time here. This is what's called an antagonist superset, which is really what most of your supersets should be. So that would be chest and back, could be bicep and tricep, leg extension and leg curl, right? Things that won't impact one another. For example, it wouldn't be a great idea to do a tempo bench press with a push-up because I'll likely have to reduce the weight on the bar eventually because that push-up will draw some fatigue. So there'll be some systemic fatigue to happen. So likely with clients, we recommend at least like a 30 to 60-second rest in between movements. If it's something like bicep, tricep, you can maybe cut down to a little bit less than that, but you want to at least make sure your grip isn't giving out. So I typically rest about a minute in between bench and pull-ups, and then about 2 minutes in between the pull-ups and bench press. So last couple of reps here, making sure I'm staying honest on the tempo. Of course, if you've ever done tempo work before, you always know that the time is much shorter, I should say, in your head than what it typically looks like on video. So it's a valuable thing of recording your sets, is that a lot of times you think you're pausing for 2 seconds or something like that, but the video is like, okay, I see, maybe not so much. Last set of pull-ups here, I believe. Again, I don't get too crazy with the range of motion. I also want to fully extend on the way down. You'll see me pause at the bottom a couple of times. You see, you kind of feel that fatigue build up. You kind of want to make sure you can keep pushing. It's a nice thing about a pull-up. You kind of can actively rest a little bit at the bottom, eke out a couple of more reps. Good rule of thumb, of course, every successive set you do can be a little bit more intense, especially for me on this day. I only had 1 back movement, so on that last set of pull-ups, I can pretty much send it, but you don't want to go to failure. For example, for me on the close grip bench, on the tempo bench press, I had 3 sets of that, and then I came here and did 2 high rep sets of close grip bench press, more of a tricep variation. But you wouldn't want to go to failure on the first movement because now you'd be kind of fried. You'll make sure you can pace yourself enough to have high quality throughout the entire duration of your sessions. Typically what that means is you can really flirt with failure on the last set of that body part, right? So I only had 3 sets of pull-ups. That last one I can pretty much eke out. Close grip bench press, no spotter. I'm not going to be flirting with failure here, but little technique tip, trying to tuck the elbows a little bit more See, I've gotten rid of the pause here. No tempo, little brief explosion there, but one of my favorite tricep exercises there. And also when I'm at home, minimal equipment, it's fantastic. So technically, fourth exercise, we did tempo bench, pull-ups, close grip bench, now doing 3 sets of preacher curl on the incline bench here. Make sure I get a big stretch at the bottom. I'm in no rush. Really long eccentric there, milking out that stretch position. I love these as a stretch-focused bicep exercise. Good rule of thumb, always start on your non-dominant arm and push it as hard as you can. RPE 9, 9.5 on an exercise like this, and then just match it on your strong arm. So I didn't count my reps here, but whatever, let's say I did 13. It'll be easier to do 13 on my right arm for sure. So that's how you'll balance, right? Over time is to get in the habit of always doing your non-dominant arm or non-dominant leg, and then just milk it out here as much as possible. Sometimes on my stronger arm, I'll try to make these eccentrics a bit slower. So maybe the reps will still be equated. Say I still do 13 per arm, but it may take a little bit longer just to, again, drive the intensity there. But generally speaking, it'll be a little bit easier on this arm. Kind of a weird stance here now watching this back, but really stance is whatever you need to be to make sure you can have good leverage, to have a good stretch there. Obviously, the benefit here is your elbow's pinned down, so you can't really cheat this at all. I love this as a bicep variation. Pushing this really hard. You'll see now, not sure what set that was, 1 or 2. I did 2 sets there on each arm. And then this third set here, a lengthened partial technique. So what this means is I'm only doing the bottom half of the exercise. So full stretch as you see there. Now I'm coming halfway up and that's it. So I'm keeping all the range of motion in that bottom 50-ish percent. For me, I'm trying to visualize like my wrist getting parallel to my elbow angle, if that makes sense here. If you've paid attention to the fitness space, a lot of research showing that stretch position of an exercise is likely the most hypertrophic part. Some people are doing like only lengthened partials. For me, it's more of a finisher intensity technique, but I have been playing around with it a lot. And to be blunt, a lot of times I just get a better mind muscle connection doing a lengthened partial version of an exercise. So a lot of times I'll do like maybe a hammer curl. I get better mind muscle connection. Or if I'm doing a leg extension, same exact thing. So I'll probably be talking about that on future vlogs, but it's really easy to use it in this setup here. 2 normal sets, and then that third set, I drop the weight by 5 pounds. I think I'm doing 20 pounds per hand here. I really like it. It's kind of a finisher and stretch focus bicep exercise here. And then I think my last 2 movements here, nope, not last 2, superset here of a single arm dumbbell overhead tricep extension. Similar story, making sure I am starting with my left arm here, and then I'll match it on my dominant arm. Again, I like the stretch aspect here. Not my favorite tricep exercise, but I don't have any cables at home. So there's other things here. I like dumbbell skull crushers. I like barbell skull crushers, but for me, probably my favorite dumbbell variation for the triceps here. Focusing on a big stretch, getting that all the way to like my opposite trap, and then trying to keep the elbow close-ish to the ear, although my lats flexibility doesn't allow that a ton. But I do like it, and you really can, the exercise is the hardest in the stretch position. And generally speaking, when exercises are hardest at that bottom stretch position, they're going to be great for overall hypertrophy. So wrapping it up here, I supersetted this almost immediately. I pretty much went and grabbed the other dumbbell, switched it. I have a little fancy adjustable dumbbells, which is really nice. I think they're called MyoBrain. Highly recommend them. They've been great for a year and a half, 2 years, very durable. So spider curls here, chest supported, trying to keep those elbows really tight. And then a great squeeze at the top of the exercise. A little bit of swinging here from me, which I don't love. That's all right. Good mind muscle connection here. Love this for another variation. Similar to pull-ups, right? I like the fact you kind of can passively rest at the bottom. If you're trying to hit 15, maybe you hit 9, you hang out there for a second, you hit 2 or 3. It's kind of what I'm talking about in the intro, some nuances you see from some people who have been in the game a little bit. And that just went back and forth pretty much, like maybe a 30-second rest in between each movement. And then this was an intensity technique I wanted to show. This was actually kind of spur of the moment. I'm not sure this was even written down. What you'll see here, doing a regular curl, what I just did, and then there'll be a hammer curl finisher. So another, again, intensity technique. What I'm trying to do here is do as many reps as I can with the standard, what I call supinated. Your wrist is stained forward. This is going to be the hardest way to do a curl. Once I sort of can't do any good more reps there, I'll switch into a stronger position and do some, at this point, alternating hammer curls till this goes to failure. It's almost milking out the harder exercise. I go into an easier exercise with the same weight. Okay, this is my final set of biceps for the day. So again, you can push some failure there. There's 1,000 ways to add intensity techniques. Again, this was totally on the fly, but this could be something you think about. There's a lot of ways to do this, but similar thing to the lengthened partial I did in some aspects on the incline version. And then final piece for today, this is a aiming to be constant tension chest fly. For sure, machines and cables, much better mind muscle connection for the pecs. But again, you don't have access to that, which is totally fine. So I really like a low incline here for the pecs. And what I'm aiming to do is get a big stretch, of course, at the bottom. Slow, slow, slow. And then don't exactly lock out all the way at the top. Because again, if you've ever done a chest fly, you know there's really nothing going on. You can just hang out forever at the top of a fly. So I'm really trying to keep the tension in that stretch position and then go right down into the next rep. So that's why it's kind of a 3/4 rep or a constant tension rep, whatever you want to call it. And again, I do get really good mind muscle connection here. Not nearly as much as I do with a cable, but again, it is a very good variation for something at home. And that wraps up my session here. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I'll likely be doing more of these for sure at home. I train in a pretty popular gym, so it's hard to get a lot of footage there. But yeah, I appreciate you watching as always. Drop a comment, subscribe, all that cool YouTube stuff, and I'll see you next time.